Welcome back to another great episode of Broken and Beautiful. I'm your host, Chloe Fisher, and I hope you all are having such a wonderful day. And welcome officially to the first episode of Season 2. I cannot believe we're in Season 2 of this podcast. I can't believe we're almost done with the first month of 2026, and that we're already in 2026. And it's just crazy. And honestly, this break has been so nice, and I feel like it's been a minute since I've filmed a podcast. I feel like it's been a minute since I've been on here, but the break honestly has been so nice and restful and rejuvenating, just to praise the Lord, asking Him things for Season 2 and just for this podcast in general, for the future. But it's been really great. It's been restful and rejuvenating, and I'm excited to be back, and I'm really excited to do this episode, and I'm just excited overall to see where the Lord's going to take this podcast. But I do hope you all are having such a wonderful day and that you are staying warm, because if there's anyone listening who's from the Midwest or the South, you guys know that we got a little snowstorm here over the weekend, and so we've kind of been snowed in. And if you're not watching YouTube, you should, because it's more fun and it's just more interactive. But I just did air quotes for those who are just listening. But we've kind of got snowed in, meaning like we were still able to go drive on the roads and everything, but my husband and I, we stayed in the apartment all day on Saturday, just had a cozy day in, and honestly it was so nice just getting to relax and slow down and not really do a lot, and so that was fun. And we did the same thing yesterday too, and so it's been a really great, restful and relaxing weekend, which is always nice and fun, especially when it's really, really cold out. You just want to stay in the warmth. So overall, the start of 2026 has been amazing and wonderful and great, and like I said, I'm just excited to be back and excited to just do more with the podcast, Lord willing. And I hope you all are staying warm. I hope that your start to 2026 has been really great. And I just want to say thank you all for those who have been listening to the podcast and those who have been with me in the start of it. And just thank you for your support. And I do hope and pray that you will continue to like and comment on my episodes, and that you will continue to leave a review. I think you can leave a review on YouTube. I'm not entirely sure, but I think you can. And just DM me on Instagram or comment down below on either of my podcast platforms on what you want me to talk about. What do you want to listen about to? Any struggles that you guys are dealing with, any topics that you want me to talk about. And also DM me and just leave a comment down below on what other guests you want me to have on the podcast too, because there's a few other guests coming, which I'm really excited for, so stay tuned for that. And I will have my husband back on the podcast because it's been a minute, which this week he technically was supposed to be on the podcast, but it just ended up not working out. But hopefully he'll be on there next week, on the podcast next week, but we'll see. Also, I feel a little rusty, guys, because I have not filmed in like a few weeks, so I feel a little rusty, but it'll be great. The Holy Spirit's going to take over in this episode, and it's going to be great. So for this episode, I thought it would be fun. Oh, also, I don't know if any of you guys are watching YouTube, definitely go watch YouTube, because there is something in the episode that is different. I don't have a mic in my hand, and that's because I got some new podcast equipment for Christmas, which I am so grateful for, and such a blessing from the Lord to have all this stuff. And so I'm really excited because I got some new mics, I got some new mic stands, and I'm really excited. I absolutely love it, and I'm excited to start using it more. And that means I can also have guests on now, because in a previous episode, my husband and I, we were trying to film an episode, and the mics just were not connecting together, and so we had to use one mic. If you know, you know. And so now I have two that actually will work together, which I'm really excited for. So stay tuned for my guests, but I wanted to just share that because I I just love it. And I feel more professional, even though I'm not in any way at all, but I definitely feel more professional. Okay, for this episode, I thought we would talk about all things wedding planning, things that I wish I knew while planning my wedding, and just overall advice with my experience. And hopefully, this will encourage you guys for anyone who's in the engagement season or who might be getting engaged soon, or if you're just like in the trenches with wedding planning and you just need some more advice. Hopefully this episode is encouraging to you guys. I hope you guys feel the presence of the Lord in my episodes and in this episode, because that is definitely a prayer of mine for this podcast. That in each episode I film, I hope and pray you guys feel the presence of the Lord, and that at the end of each episode that it draws you to grow closer to the Lord as well. And so hopefully this episode does that for you guys and that you learn something from it. But I'm excited because I love weddings. I love all things wedding planning and everything. And I love organizing and all of that fun stuff. And so I'm excited for this episode. So let's get right into it. And hopefully this encourages you guys. Okay. So, to preface this, I don't know if any of you guys have ever done this, for those who are married now and you remember your wedding planning and all of that, but I started planning my wedding 6 months into dating Ben, who is now my husband, but at the time we were boyfriend and girlfriend, and that was back in 2022. And that feels so long ago, by the way. I can't believe that I'm just so shocked that it's 2026, guys, and that feels so long ago to say 2022, even though it really wasn't that long ago. Um, but yeah, and so I started planning my wedding 6 months into dating Ben. I wanted to say that for anyone else who maybe is planning their wedding and not engaged yet, and that's not necessarily a bad thing at all, but I honestly am personally someone who loves to organize and love to plan out things and just write things down, even if I'm not in that specific season yet, just so that way I don't forget about it. And then when I'm in that season, I can go look back at my notes about that, if that makes sense. But I got very consumed in it, and I ended up at the time wanted to be engaged when that wasn't the timing for Ben and I to be engaged and then get married. And so I was wishing to be in a different season than the season that I was in currently, that the Lord put me in. And so I wanted to preface that it's not necessarily bad to plan out for the future, but just being reminded that the Lord is the one who establishes our steps. He's the one who guides us where He wants us to go. He's the one who creates our plans for us, and He's the one who is in control of all things. And it's not bad to plan. We should plan for the future, and we should have vision from the Lord on what He wants us to do and all of that. But when it takes us away from the current season that we're in, that's when that can become an issue. And I got convicted from the Lord to stop planning until I was in that season. And I definitely did here and there add things to the planning, but then I did a quick little add and then I was done. But I definitely got convicted by that. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm not going to plan anymore. And I truly want to be content in each season that God has me in, no matter how hard it is. And it's difficult to be content in a season when other people around you are getting engaged and married, or having kids, or getting a house, or moving to a fun new place, or going on trips, and you feel like you're still stuck in the same place you were in a year ago. Like, I get that. I hear that. I'm going in a summer season right now with that. What's a different situation but than what I mentioned, but like, I hear you in that if you're thinking that. But there's always something beautiful to learn in the current season that we're in, and I am starting to learn that and realize that in the season that I'm currently in, that the Lord has me in. And it's all about Him putting us in a season to grow our dependence on Him. And so if you're like me and you love planning and organizing all of that, and you just like to plan ahead, I would advise to just be cautious of that, and to make sure if you do that, that it doesn't cause you to be discontent in the current season that you're in. And so I don't know if I'm speaking to anyone in that. I hope that it makes sense in what I said there, and I hope that just helps someone out there. But I do want to preface that it's not bad to plan. We should plan, but it's being wise in our planning, and definitely bringing the Lord in prayer in the planning that we do in our lives. So that way we are making sure that we're allowing Him to guide our plans and our steps, not us. And depending on Him for our lives, and not us or anyone else. So I hope that makes sense. So, with that, I started doing a lot more planning once I got engaged, of course, because that's what you do when you get engaged. You start planning. And I always dreamt of my wedding, and I was never someone when I was younger to like create a Pinterest board when I was 13 and to have all the fun stuff there. I was never someone like that to do that, but I always did dream of being married one day and having the fun wedding and all of that stuff. Um, but of course, a lot of that changed as I got older in how I wanted my wedding to look and who I was going to marry and all of those things. And honestly, I didn't realize I was going to get saved when I did either. So that was such a blessing from the Lord. So, with all of that said, my first advice that I would tell someone with planning their wedding is to first and foremost, before you do any planning, before anything, even before you get engaged to your fiance, is to pray to the Lord. Just pray to God. Ask Him first and foremost, okay, is this the person that you want me to marry? Should I marry this guy? If you're a girl and you're figuring this out, or if you're a guy, should I marry this girl and you're figuring this out? And so I would say, pray to the Lord and ask Kate, God, do you want me to marry this person? And ask the Lord to give you wisdom from His word about it. Ask the Lord to give you discernment and clarity and peace if you should marry this person. And once He gives you that, because he does listen to our prayers and He will answer and He will make it clear if you're supposed to marry this person or not. Then after that, and Lord willing, you get engaged, that's great. Then pray to Lord again how to wedding plan to His glory. What things does He want you to add into your wedding for His glory? And to just ask for guidance on that, on the wedding planning process. And also ask for guidance from God on how to not get so stressed out wedding planning, because that's such an easy thing, because weddings nowadays are such a big event and it can be stressful trying to figure out and have all these different things, and there's so many other opinions from other people and there's a lot of other things, but God's opinion is the one that ultimately matters. And so going to Him in prayer and asking Him for guidance and discernment and clarity is going to help you so much in the wedding planning process and in the long run. And I definitely did pray, but I wish that I didn't get so stressed out as much as I did, if that makes sense. And I wish I definitely prayed more to the Lord about certain things, and just about certain things. And so first and foremost, pray before you make any decision, even before you get engaged. And then once you're engaged, pray before you make a decision on wedding planning. And God, throughout the whole process, will guide you on how He wants this wedding to look for His glory. Because my husband and I, we wanted a wedding that was going to be God honoring, that was going to be Christ centered, because a marriage is a covenant of a man and a woman coming together before the Lord. And we definitely wanted to make sure that our wedding was God honoring, because God is the one who created marriage, and we wanted that to show everyone, hey, this is a covenant that we're making before the Lord. And you guys are all witnesses to that. And so I definitely would advise praying before anything. And that's something that my husband and I did, and it definitely did help us throughout the wedding planning process. Next, I would say, and this is definitely a must-have that you definitely need in your wedding planning, is doing premarital counseling. Now, this isn't like part of the actual planning process where you're going to be like where it's going to be at your wedding, but this is something that my husband and I did when we got engaged. We had got a husband and a wife from his church that I now go to in Kansas. And he was, the husband was the young adults pastor at the time. And so we chose him and his wife because Ben is very close to them, and his whole family is very close to that family. And they were awesome counselors. And they did such a great job helping Ben and I prepare for marriage. And so I would definitely recommend premarital counseling because it just, you talk about a lot of topics that you're going to run into in marriage, like in laws and finances and big decision making on like when to get a home, when to have kids. And obviously, there's another part um, to marriage that's talked about in premarital counseling, but I won't say the actual word of it. Um, but there's just a lot of topics in premarital counseling that you talk about in premarital counseling that is will definitely help you in the long run in your marriage. And I'm so happy we did it. I mean, we already talked about it before getting engaged that we wanted to do it because we heard just such great things about it, and we wanted just advice and guidance from two Christ-centered people who were married, husband and wife who are married, and just really making sure that we get some good advice before entering in a marriage and before getting married, so that way we were more prepared. And I hope that makes sense. I feel like I just rambled there, but definitely highly recommend it. We absolutely loved it. And also, if you're long distance right now and you are planning your wedding or about to get engaged or whatever, just know you can do premarital counseling long distance. My husband and I, we did it. I did premarital counseling on Zoom while Ben did it in person, and we did it all together, but I just called in on Zoom. Um, so it's definitely, you can definitely do it. But yeah, you can definitely do it long distance. Just know, like, if you're long distance, that shouldn't be an excuse for you not to do it. You can do it long distance. And yeah, something I will say also with that is do not wait to the last minute to do your premarital counseling homework, because I definitely did that. And I wish I took more time and put a little bit more effort in my premarital counseling. I had a lot of things going on in that season, not just wedding planning. I had school, I was in college, I had church commitments at my church back in Arizona, long distance dating, and I had work. And so I had a lot of things going on. And I also was in a Bible study too. So I had a lot of things going on. And that definitely obviously is not an excuse, and I'm not trying to make that an excuse. But I definitely put premarital counseling, because of all that, I put premarital counseling on the back burner. And I would say for anyone else who's maybe in a busy season of life and is engaged in that season of life, do not put premarital counseling on the back burner. If anything, put that at the top of your to-do list for everything else, because premarital counseling is what's going to help you in the long run for your marriage, not anything else. And so I would highly recommend doing your premarital counseling homework, like finding a time when you're like, okay, I really don't have anything going on this day. I can definitely spend a few hours doing my premarital counseling homework. Great. Choose a day, maybe a few days before you actually meet or a week before you meet, to do that homework, and to then like call a few days before you meet, call your fiance and talk about it, because you don't want to just do it separately and then not talk about it. You want to do it separately, but then come together, call or meet somewhere in person and talk about what you both wrote down, and just really communicate, because premarital counseling also helps with the communication too. And that's such a big thing in marriage. And my husband and I are learning that as of being 10 months married, which is wild and crazy that we're 10 months married, guys. That is just, I feel like we just got married, and yet I feel like we've been married for a long time too. So yeah, so we're almost a year into marriage, which is crazy, and we've learned a lot. And but obviously we can share more about our 1 year of marriage in another episode. Hopefully we can make that. But yeah, and so with all that said, definitely do premarital counseling. Highly recommend it. It'll definitely help your marriage in the long run. And also your church, and also do premarital counseling at a Christ-centered biblical church. Find a husband and wife that either of you know, or you can use your pastor and his wife, and definitely find a husband and wife who's been married for a long time, and do premarital counseling and have them do your premarital counseling. And a lot of times your church should have the resources for you that they'll give you, and you can keep those resources at the end, which is great because then you can go and look back at those resources if you're in a circumstance or a situation and you're like, okay, I we don't know how to handle this right now, or we're not coming to a conclusion. You can go back to your premarital counseling resources, and you can figure out, okay, what should we do? And obviously, pray to the Lord first and foremost. But your premarital counseling can help in the midst of that. So definitely do premarital counseling. A must have. Do not skip on that. Definitely get it. Also, okay, my next advice for anyone who's in the wedding planning season, engagement season, is that it's okay to ask for help. This one was hard for me to actually take and apply into my own life because I am someone who has a hard time asking for help. And not that I don't like help. I realize, like, oh, we all need help. We can't do everything on our own. We need help. And the Lord designed us that way so we could grow our dependence on Him. But I am someone who likes things a certain way. And I feel like if I ask someone for help, I either failed in trying to attempt something, or and maybe that's true, and that's okay if I make a mistake or fail because I'm learning in that failing process, and failure is actually not a bad thing at all. It just helps you learn, so then that way you can not make that same mistake, or yeah, in all of that. But I like things a certain way, and sometimes I just want to do it myself so that way it looks how I want it to. And I was definitely like that in the planning process of wedding. And I've always like I said before, I love planning, I love organizing, and I didn't want to get a wedding planner because I wanted to plan my own wedding. And I had my sister and my mom. My sister is married, and so she's been through the wedding planning process before. Obviously, my mom has too, and so I knew that they could help me. And I had some friends who could help me too with that. And so I was like, I definitely don't need a wedding planner, and I wanted to plan my wedding on a budget. And a wedding planner is expensive. They're honestly great though, and if you want to get a wedding planner, get a wedding planner. If you're like, my life right now is so hectic and crazy that I can't plan my wedding, that's okay. Or if your life isn't hectic and crazy and you still want a wedding planner, go get a wedding planner. That is honestly like your preference, and if that's what you want to do and you can afford that, go and do that. Personally, for me, it's a personal preference not to have a wedding planner, and I just wanted to plan my wedding. And so with that mindset already, I didn't really want to ask for a lot of help because I'm like, no, I want to do this. It's my wedding. I can do it all. It'll be fine. Well, with that, my season of life was a little busy, and I definitely wish I asked for help earlier on with a lot of things, instead of trying to do everything on my own, because then I just kind of I've heard this analogy before where it's like you're holding a wagon, or you're pulling a wagon, and then you put a few things in there and it starts to get heavy, and then you add, and let's say it's already like to the top and like you can barely move it, and then you add one more thing onto it, and then it stops moving, it stops working, you can't pull it anymore. I've heard that analogy somewhere, and I probably just botched that analogy. I have no idea. Hopefully I didn't, but um yeah, but I've heard that analogy before, and I heard that analogy in that season was when I had so much going on, when I was so busy, and I was like, okay, I am definitely putting on way too much. And I finally asked for some help with wedding invitations and save the dates and organizing some things and ordering things. And so I asked for help. It felt great to ask for help. And yeah, and so I would say definitely ask for help. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It's actually a good thing to ask for help because we all need help. And there, especially with like people in your life, like they would be more than happy to help you in your wedding planning. Like my bridesmaids were amazing. They really wanted to help and they helped. And there are some cases where they like forced me to ask them for help in like a really loving way. Um, and there's also like my sister helped me and my mom helped me. Like they all wanted to help me and it was so great. And they did. And so I would say like there are people in your life that want to help you and let them. It's okay. And honestly, it's all going to turn out great. Like my wedding turned out amazing, better than I could have imagined. And honestly, like on my wedding day, I didn't even really care about how the decorations looked. I just more cared about the fact that I was marrying my best friend that day. And so just know like it's all going to work out well. It's all going to turn out well and everything. And it's okay to ask for help and actually let the people ask you for help because it's honestly going to be such a blessing to have people help you. So I hope that helps anyone who is struggling to ask for help. It's okay, and there's always people that want to help you. The next advice I would give someone is that your wedding does not have to be traditional in any way, and it does not have to look like a Pinterest board. um, I obviously, like I said in the beginning of this episode, I used Pinterest. I made a board of all the wedding decor that I wanted, how I wanted my wedding to look. And obviously, that changed throughout the years. But I like your wedding does not have to be traditional. Your wedding can be however you want it to be. Your wedding can you can have pickleball at your wedding, you can have tennis at your wedding, you can have an ice cream bar at your wedding, you can have a food truck at your wedding, you can have a morning wedding, an afternoon wedding, or an evening wedding. Like there is no right or wrong wedding style out there. And so well, there are some things that should not be in a wedding. I will preface that, but with planning your wedding, there's like no right or wrong way of doing that, and so like yours doesn't have to be traditional in any way at all. You can do it however you want to, and sure you're gonna get a lot of opinions with wedding planning and certain things that people want in your wedding and all of that. But at the end of the day, it's your and your fiance's wedding. How do you want it to look? And like I said, pray to the Lord about how He wants the wedding to look. Because like I said before, God's opinion is the only one that matters. And obviously, yes, you want to value other people's opinions. You want to take that, but take other people's opinions and go to prayer to God with that and be like, hey, Lord, what do you want me to do with this opinion? Should I listen to it? Is it honoring to you? Or should I do something else or what? And so definitely value other people's opinions, but always take other people's opinions to the Lord. Wanted to preface that. And so just have fun with the wedding planning process. Don't get super stressed out by like, okay, this person wants it to look like this and this and this and this. What do I do? Definitely just talk to your fiance, pray to God. How do you want it to look? And knowing that it can look however you want to, and you can always add a fun twist to it. And it's always fun to add like something that you and your fiance love, or something that you guys just something that you both love, and it's like fun to add a twist into that. And so your wedding can look how you want it to. But obviously go to prayer to the Lord about it first and foremost. Okay, it's also okay to change your mind at any point in the planning process. And I get it with wedding planning, there's gonna be deadlines that you're gonna have to meet, especially with the venue, and if you have a day of coordinator or if you have a wedding planner, like there's definitely a deadline set in the wedding planning process. But my point to this is that if you want to change the color of your wedding, if you thought of a color of your wedding when you were 13, 16, however, whenever you were, or even 10 years old, and you're like, oh man, but like I planned this wedding when I was really young and I've always imagined it to be this way. I don't know if I should change it. Like, it's okay to change it. It's okay. However you want it to look, that's okay. It does not have to be how you wanted it when you were 10, and you can always change the color, you can change the decorations, you can change anything. And obviously, yes, like maybe the week of your wedding, you can't really change a lot, but there's always some things that you can change up until your wedding day. And so just know, like, you can change any part of your wedding. Like, I did that. Like, there are some things that I moved around and changed. Like, there is a color like, okay, this is kind of a side note, but my favorite color is rose gold. And I wanted to have a rose gold wedding. And I definitely thought about that when I was 19, I think, 19 or 20, or 18. No, I think it was when I was 19. Yeah. But when I did actually get engaged, I realized, okay, I actually don't like how that looks. And so then I ended up using dusty rose and sage green as my wedding colors. And so that's a silly example, but I give that example to know like it's okay if you want to change that, and you totally can. There's like, you can definitely do that, and it's okay to change things in the wedding process. Um, and so, yeah, so I would just say that don't put so much pressure on yourself with that either. You don't need to. Um, okay, something else I would say is that everything will fall into place on the wedding day. Like I said before, on your wedding day, you're not going to be focused on how the flowers look or how the cake looks or how the sign looks or if the sign's crooked or whatever. Like you're not going to really worry about that. All you're going to be focused on is the fact that you get to marry your best friend on that day, and praise the Lord for that. And so just know, like, honestly, I personally thought I was going to focus on that. I thought that on my wedding day, I was going to focus on how the flowers looked and how the invitations look, and oh, did they do it how I wanted it to look, and does that look really good? And honestly, when I walked into the reception and when I saw it all put together, and when I saw the ceremony room put together and everything, I was like, honestly, this looks so much better than I could have ever imagined. And that was such a blessing from the Lord. And like I didn't care if one thing looked crooked. I was just like, in my mind, I was like, it's my wedding day. Can't believe this is happening, and I can't believe I get to marry Ben, who is my best friend. And so I would just say, if you kind of have that same mindset where you're like, I feel like I'm just gonna not be able to focus on anything but just how things look, just know you're gonna be just focusing on your husband that day, or on your fiance, on your husband that day. You're gonna be focused on that, not really the decor or anything else like that. Um, and so just know everything's gonna fall in place. It's all gonna look beautiful. And even if one thing goes wrong, that's okay, because someone there will fix it. And technically, the bride's not supposed to know if something went wrong, but it's okay if something does go wrong, um, because it can always get fixed. And a wedding is supposed to be fun. And so if something does end up going wrong, just laugh at it and just have a fun time. And knowing, you know what, I get to marry my best friend today, that truly is like all that matters in itself on the day. So, yeah, so hopefully that helps anyone who's worried about that. Okay, this one was something that I like got this, like, the Lord definitely spoke this to me in a sermon. Um, and it wasn't necessarily these exact words, but I think the sermon, it was about like worry, stress, or something. I don't know. But this was something that I heard, and I was like, hey, this is actually so good for me to hear right now. And it's prepare more for the marriage than the actual wedding day. And I would say, a, I would say I definitely planned more for the wedding day than the actual marriage. And what I mean by that is I definitely did prepare. I did the premarital homework and everything like that. And I definitely did prepare for for the marriage. But I wish that I took more time in my premarital counseling, like I said before. And I wish I did take more time in preparing for the marriage, knowing that the marriage is, hopefully, Lord willing, a lifelong thing, where a wedding day is just one day, and a marriage lasts longer than that. And so, I would say for anyone else who maybe is just so consumed in the wedding planning, just know that is one day. Your wedding is one day, and it's going to be beautiful however you want. And if you forget one little detail, that's okay. And if you realize it on the wedding day, you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot this. That's okay. Like, that is totally fine. And just know, like, that's one day. And if you miss one detail, I'm pretty sure you're not even going to think about it honestly anymore. Like there's a few details that I'm looking back and like honestly I really haven't really thought about that detail um since being married. And so just know like preparing more for the marriage is going to be so much more beneficial than being so consumed in the wedding on the wedding and in the wedding planning that like just don't throw away preparing for the marriage. Like prepare more for the marriage than the actual wedding day. And so that's something like I wish I definitely did more of preparing more for the marriage. Because I definitely got way too consumed in the wedding planning, and that happens. Like that's gonna happen, because weddings like are such a big event and all of that that it's hard not to get consumed in that. But definitely definitely more focus on the marriage and understanding how to be a godly woman. Understand, okay, what does marriage mean to the Lord and why is this a covenant? And understand that more and asking yourself those questions and really just communicating more to your husband on, okay, like talking about certain topics in your marriage, like, okay, are we going to get an apartment first? Or can we afford a house? Or when are we going to have kids? Or where are we going to live? Are we going to live where we got married, or do we want to move somewhere else? Are we going to live in my hometown or your hometown? Are we going to get a dog, or are we going to get any pets or no pets? Or how are we going to do this and this and this? And so it's just definitely more focus on those things than the actual wedding day. And I do hope and pray that makes sense to someone, because I feel like I'm just rambling right now. If you can't tell, I am a little rusty, but that's okay. Okay, don't put so much pressure on yourself, and don't put so much stress on yourself either. I definitely got very stressed out. And I think that's just because I piled so much on me to a point where I was like, I want to be done wedding planning right now. And that's like, it's like, and that's like, I feel like every bride in the wedding planning process would say that like, oh man, I'm done wedding planning, I just want to be married now and all of that. And again, that's not a bad thing at all. But I definitely put so much on me, and I was stressed out about other things and all of that to a point where I was just like burnt out. And so don't burn yourself out. There's no point in burning yourself out. There's no need to. It's it is just a wedding day, honestly. And I don't want to. I also heard this, and this is really good, where I'm definitely just paraphrasing this, but I heard this where it's like this guy was talking and saying how he didn't want to um, get burnt out from wedding planning to a point where he was like to a point where he didn't have a lot of energy for the honeymoon and for the actual marriage. And I heard that and I was like, that is so true. Like, I don't want to burn myself out so much over a wedding day to a point where I'm just like I have no energy for the honeymoon or no energy like in the first few weeks or months of my marriage. And obviously, yes, there's a lot of avenues and things that go into wedding planning, but I should not have put so much pressure and stress on myself to make it look perfect or in any way possible, because it can't. You can't make your wedding look perfect. Like I said before, something's going to go wrong with it, and that's totally okay. And I just wish that I took more time to breathe and took more time to be like, you know what? I'm not going to plan my wedding this week. I'm going to focus on something else and focus on growing my relationship with the Lord and all of those other things. But I definitely just kind of bulldozed my way through, and that's not good. And so I would say for anyone else who's maybe feeling that stress and feeling a little burnout, just take a break. Even if you're 2 months before you get married, take a break. Because I definitely, when I got engaged, I like went full steam ahead the next day after getting engaged, full steam ahead in planning and everything. And I really truly wish I just took that week not to plan anything and realize I still have a good chunk of time, and just to really just really let it settle in that I'm engaged. And obviously, like I said before, there's a lot of avenues, a lot of aspects to it, to where like yes, there's gonna be little things that sneak up on you, but overall, it's okay to take breaks throughout your planning process too, especially if you are feeling burnt out. Um, okay, another piece of advice I would give is that wedding planning does take time. Do not cause yourself to have burnout. Like I said, don't cause yourself to have burnout. It's okay. Like, your planning takes time. Planning anything takes time, and it shouldn't all be done within the first week of engagement. that's how burnout's gonna that's how you're gonna get burned out. And so I would say to plan out, like, what part of the planning you want to get done each month. So like, if you're engaged for 6 months and that's how long your engagement is, pick a few things to do the first month, and then the second month, and then the third month, and fourth month, and fifth month, and sixth month, to where like you space out your planning to where you're not trying to get it all done within the first month of engagement, but you plan it out and space it out to a point where you're like, okay, I can get this stuff done this month, and then this stuff done this month, and this month, and this month, and you won't get burnout that way if you plan it out and you space out your planning. And I looked on Pinterest. There's a lot of great resources on there for like organizing like what you're gonna do each month. And I didn't follow that the best, but I'm glad I had that resource to look back on it. And so I would say just space out your planning, because that will definitely help you not to have burnout, and it'll just help you to just more focus on what you want to get done that month. So hopefully that helps. Okay, next piece of advice that I wish I knew is that you can plan your wedding on a budget. It is possible. I did it. I planned my wedding on a budget, and my parents definitely did help, and that was such a huge blessing for them to help out with costs and everything. And but for the things that I needed to pay for the wedding, like, I found ways um to find things on a budget, and for a lot cheaper. And there's ways to plan your wedding on a budget, like doing like projects on your own, like DIY projects. Like, you can make your own signs from scratch, and you can make your like name tags from scratch, and you can make other wedding piece decor from scratch. And you can find all those materials really cheap off of Amazon, or at like Home Depot or Lowe's or somewhere. And so definitely, you can definitely plan your wedding on a budget, and there's a lot of great resources out there for that too. But just know your wedding doesn't have to be like doesn't have to cost a lot. And if you definitely don't have like a really big budget for your wedding, that's okay, because you can definitely plan your wedding, and there's ways to find cheaper options for decor as well. Um, and also, like, venues. I've like heard of really cute backyard weddings for cheaper options, or getting married at your church for cheaper options. And so there's definitely ways around that too. This one, I definitely I told myself this advice, and this is kind of, I feel like, good just to tell someone out there, is that it's okay to have different bridesmaids in your wedding party than you thought you would. Like, when I started planning my wedding 6 months into dating Ben, there are people that I had as my bridesmaids that I ended up not choosing as my bridesmaids, and that was just because I wasn't really close to them anymore. And that's okay. Like, choose the people that you want in your wedding party that you are going to end up still talking to after your wedding, and people that you are close to. And there's definitely different friends for each season, but choose the people that you want to have in your wedding party, and knowing like people's feelings might get hurt, but at the same time, it's like, who do you truly want by your side on your wedding day? Um, and like, obviously, I feel like people would understand too if you don't pick them to be your bridesmaids, and you can have them help in different ways on your wedding day, but you don't like have to have them part of your wedding party if you don't want to. But I would say definitely choose people to be in your wedding party, to be your bridesmaids, that you know you're gonna end up talking to and still hanging out with even after your wedding. And so I would say that, and knowing that it's okay friendships change, and there's definitely different people for each season and different friendships for each season too. Um, and just know that that's okay. Okay, this one, last but not least, of the advice that I would give is boundaries. um, so this one again isn't like necessarily something that you would plan into your wedding, but I would say I definitely want to talk about this portion is boundaries with your fiance. Now, for those who don't know, Ben and I are believers in Christ. We are Christians, and we did wait for marriage. Um, and so we waited until marriage. Um, and so we saved ourselves for marriage. And that was something we chose. That is something in God's word. And God like created marriage and for this thing that you do in marriage to be in marriage. Like when he created Adam and Eve, he said, "Be fruitful and multiply," and they were married. Like obviously, they didn't have a ceremony or anything like that, but they were already married when God created them. And he said, "Be fruitful and multiply," and so they were already married, and that is clear stated in God's word. But anyway, this thing that happens in marriage, God created for marriage. And Ben and I, we see that in God's word plainly, and we wanted to honor the Lord in that too. And so we waited for marriage for this thing. And so the reason why I want to talk about boundaries is because we had to navigate boundaries in dating and engagement before marriage. And I would say with boundaries is, I heard this from my mentor back in Arizona, is to create like a contract of your boundaries. So write out your boundaries with you and your boyfriend or your fiance and write them out. And I mean, I would definitely recommend doing this in dating, and especially engagement too, because that's when the enemy likes to come in when you guys are so close to getting married and you guys are saving yourselves for marriage. The enemy likes to come in and twist some things around. But don't listen to the enemy. Don't listen to lies. Listen to God's truth. And so I would say write out a contract of your boundaries and sign it and keep each other accountable with that. And tell your friends to help them keep you guys accountable too. And also, another thing I heard is that if you guys are very physical touch people and you guys know you guys struggle with purity physically and just in general, then don't be alone in the same room. Like keep the door open and have like some friends in that room. Don't be alone in a room or in a house together, but have your friends, have someone with you, and keep the door open too. And I would just say that because that can definitely help you guys keep each other accountable. And if you guys have it written on paper and you put it somewhere where you're going to see every single day, that'll help you to be reminded, oh, okay, right. We're honoring the Lord in this, and this is what we wrote out, so that's great. Like, I don't want to do it. And I want to keep that and keep each other accountable in that and keep us accountable in that. And so, like, for my husband and I would, we definitely did save ourselves for marriage. But there were some things that we did that we were like, oh, shoot, should we have done that? Probably not. And we had to always go back and reevaluate, okay, how can we stay pure and honor the Lord in this? And long distance definitely helped with that because we did long distance for 2 years of dating before. Basically, we dated for a year in person, and then at the end of our sophomore year of college, we did long distance, and we started that, and then we started long distance then, and then ended our long distance when we got married. And so for a good long time, we did long distance for like half of our relationship before we got married, and that definitely helped. We had to stay pure in other ways, in like our speech and all of that, but we definitely that definitely did help with long distance because we weren't with each other in person a lot. And so I would just say keep each other accountable in your boundaries. read God's word on what does God's word say about boundaries and how can we honor the Lord in that by reading his word. Um, Talk to your mentor about it, have people keep you accountable in that, and just know like it is so worth waiting for marriage. And my husband and I, we saw the fruit of that, and hopefully you guys will do the same. And it is just so, so worth it. The wait is truly worth it. Um, and so, because then you guys made that covenant to each other, and you guys know you guys are going to stay with each other in your marriage, and that's why this thing is meant for marriage only. And it is truly just such a blessing from the Lord. And so, I hope that all helped you guys. Um, I had a lot of fun planning this. It was really, really fun. Um, and I would say overall, with my wedding planning experience, it was definitely really, really fun. There's definitely obviously some parts in there. It's definitely a little stressful, as a lot of planning stuff is. But overall, it was really fun. I had a blast with it, and I really enjoyed it. And I wish my husband and I, we could relive that day one more time. Our wedding day was so fun. It went by really fast, I will say. It goes by really fast with your wedding. It goes by so, so fast. Um, and so just soak up every moment of it. Definitely um, don't rush any season that you're in, even if you're not in the engagement season. Don't rush any season that you're in because God is growing something in you in the current season that you're in. And so I hope this was encouraging for you guys. I hope you guys learned something from it. I hope this grows you closer to the Lord. And yeah, it was really fun filming this. I loved it. Wedding planning is really a lot of fun. And it's fun getting to see like all the hard work that you did for however long of your engagement. Like Ben and I, we did a year long in like 3 weeks, a year and 3 week long engagement. And I'm glad we had that long. I wish it was a little bit shorter, but I'm glad we had that long for me to just take more time in my wedding planning process. But for it being a year long engagement, like it was so cool getting to see it all put together on the wedding day. And so just know that even though the planning might be hard and might be a little stressful, just take some time to breathe and know that it's all going to look beautiful at the end of it. So I hope this does, again, hope it encourages you guys. I hope you guys will continue listening. And for anyone who's new out there, my name is Chloe. This is my podcast, Broken and Beautiful. It's a faith-based podcast where I talk about any topic that you guys want me to talk about and how I can bringing the Lord into that topic and what the Bible says about that topic and how to live, also, and how to live a healthy lifestyle physically, mentally, and most importantly, spiritually, because I love health and fitness. I've had my own journey with that. And so, and I'm excited to make more content about that too, and just more episodes about that. And so if you're new here, I hope you stick around. And for those who are returning, I hope you continue to stick around. And I will leave down in the description box where you can follow me on Instagram and where you can listen to my podcast as well. And just know that God can turn your brokenness into something beautiful for his glory and your good. I love you all so much. I'll see you all next week for another great episode.